Last week, an exchange in a Senate committee hearing raised eyebrows across the country when the Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, seemingly failed to grasp the meaning of habeas corpus.
Secretary Noem, the White House Deputy Chief of Staff recently said that the Trump administration is actively looking at suspending habeas corpus. Last week, you were asked about this, and I want to clarify your position because it's obviously really important to get this right. So, Secretary Noem, what is habeas corpus?
Well, habeas corpus is a constitutional right that the president has to be able to remove people from this country and suspend their right to.
Let me stop you, ma'am. Habeas corpus, excuse me, that's incorrect.
President
Habeas
Lincoln
corpus,
used it.
Excuse me. Habeas corpus is the legal principle that requires that the government provide a public reason for detaining and imprisoning people. If not for that protection, the government could simply arrest people, including American citizens, and hold them indefinitely for no reason. Habeas corpus is the foundational right that separates free societies like America from police states like North Korea. As a senator from the live free or die state, this matters a lot to me and my constituents and to all Americans.
This comes in the wake of enforcement actions carried out by the Trump administration to round up alleged illegal immigrants, as well as some individuals who apparently had their legal status revoked. Opponents of these actions criticized the move, saying these individuals were not afforded the due process that habeas corpus requires. One such individual, Kilmar Abrego Garcia, was removed from the country and sent to a mega prison in El Salvador after the government admitted his hasty deportation was sped up by a clerical error. After a judge ordered the return of Garcia, a snide response from the president of El Salvador only fueled anger from those opposed to the deportations. Accusing the Trump administration of flouting the court's rulings, Democrats are looking for assurances that these errors come to a stop.
So, Secretary Noem, do you support the core protection that habeas corpus provides, that the government must provide a public reason in order to detain and imprison someone?
Yeah, I support habeas corpus. I also recognize that the president of the United States has the authority under the Constitution to decide if it should be suspended or not.
It has never
Let us be clear, though,
it has never been done. It has never been done without approval of Congress. Even Abraham Lincoln got retroactive approval from Congress. So I have been asking executive branch nominees a simple question over the past few months. If the president orders them to break the law, I've been asking, will you follow the law or follow the order? I want to ask you a more specific question here. If the president tries to suspend habeas corpus and a federal court reverses the president's order, will you comply with the court order and uphold habeas corpus, or will you follow the president's directive?
We are following all federal court orders and are complying with that, as is the president, and every decision that I make as well.
That is obviously not true for anybody who reads the news. There are federal court orders right now, including returning somebody who was deported mistakenly. But to be clear, this is about a fundamental legal right that ensures that we live in a free society instead of a police state that would have a sham legal system like Russia or North Korea. So I'm glad that you have now committed to following court orders. I'm glad you believe in the basic freedom for Americans if ordered to do so by a court. And again, I want just to make clear that it is critically important that even if the president tries to suspend the right of people to know why they've been detained or imprisoned, if a federal court reverses that order, that you will follow that order. And I hope all the members of the administration will, because it's obviously critical that some of the people, for instance, who've been deported by mistake, who didn't get due process, be returned in compliance with court orders.
This issue goes beyond the gaffe of the Homeland Secretary. Under the Constitution, habeas corpus can only be suspended in cases of insurrection or invasion when needed for public safety. Donald Trump has designated certain cartels as foreign terrorist organizations, and White House officials have recently been making a point to begin using the word invasion whenever making remarks about the southern border.
More than 10 million illegal aliens to invade the United States over the past 4 years. And that's why one of President Trump's central campaign promises was to secure the border and end this invasion. In just under 100 days, the president immediately declared a national emergency on the southern border, deployed the U.S. military and Border Patrol to repel the invasion, and ended reckless catch and release policies.
Indeed, President Trump began pushing the invasion narrative as soon as he entered office. Meanwhile, there is plenty of opposition to the word when used to describe illegal immigration. Many observers are concerned that the administration is moving toward using this narrative as a pretext for suspending civil rights with or without the consent of Congress. With numerous stories of American citizens and visiting tourists already getting caught up in the enforcement actions currently underway, apprehension is rising about the potential constitutional conflict ahead and what it may mean for American democracy.
So first and foremost, do you acknowledge that your department has made some mistakes, any mistakes, in going after either American citizens or legal immigrants here in the time that you've been in office?
We have not deported any U.S. citizens.
Detained?
Or people get interviewed. If they get interviewed and they go through that process and if we find that they're U.S. citizens or legal immigrants, they stay in the United States.
Have you deported
we have to go through the vetting process.
Have any American citizens, including children, been deported during your time in office?
We have children that mothers have chosen to keep with them. So those
by my count, you have 10 American citizens, including children with cancer, who have been deported out of the country. I understand you're saying it's their choice. But it's hard to imagine a small child having a choice. But have you gone after legal immigrants? Again, your standard in your opening statement was the most dangerous illegal immigrants. Does that include PhD students and master's students at colleges across the country, unarmed? Are they the most dangerous illegal when they have status and no weapons?
I don't decide who gets status through a student program. This Department of State decides that, and we enforce it.
Oh, come on.
That's what our Department of Homeland Security does.
I just would offer that, again, I have no qualms with going after folks who are here illegally. That is not my concern. That was part of my job, was to prevent people from coming here illegally in a former life. My concern is you're sending a chill down the spine of America by going after people who either have legal status or American citizens. And when my colleagues ask you about habeas corpus, and you say, literally, we can review the tape, that you believe it's a right the president has. Mm-hmm. You sat here in front of all of us and swore an oath to the Constitution. And that is not at all what habeas corpus is. It is a right that we all get, that American citizens get, that people who are in the United States legally have. So my concern is, it's complete overreach. I don't think American citizens, even those who voted for Trump, believe that you should be able to just grab someone off the street, sloppy, who has the legal right to be here, and certainly an American citizen. And I just am concerned that while you say you're going after the most dangerous folks, what you're actually doing is going after folks for political reasons.